Afternoon. Welcome to the Governance, Administration and Finance Committee meeting of this day, 4th of June. I declare this meeting open at 1:31. I'd like to begin today's meeting by revisiting item 4.1 from yesterday. And before I go to that item, I'll note that there's an apology from Councillor Taylor just that he will be late because he's at another meeting, but he will be attending with us, and there's no request for leaves of absence. I'll also note before we go into that declarations of conflicts of interest were noted in the meeting yesterday, and given it was adjourned, we will not need to address those again. So I move that we go into close for budget consideration matters. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Martin, all in favour? No. Thank you. Okay, so we're going into closed. Thank you. Hello. Councillors, we're back. Live streaming's on. The last day and a bit has been quite a consideration for councillors. We're so grateful to so many amazing organisations that took the time to come and present directly to us yesterday. We understand the great work that everybody does, and the length of time we've taken over this really makes it clear how difficult the decisions are for us. I suppose, yeah, it is difficult. And we have come to a final recommendation, which is on the screen. We have attempted to, actually, sorry, I should first move it. And do I have a seconder for this recommendation? Councillor Fowler. And we have outlined a number of the applications that we received, which were wonderful and really worthwhile, but we really think that they deserve, well, the state government deserves to look at them because it is state work. That's why there is a recommendation in there for the Mayor to write and to champion those special projects to the state. So would anyone like to speak for or against this recommendation? Everybody's had Councillor Gates.
I want to congratulate the committee. I'm not on this committee, but it was a marathon effort yesterday. I actually acknowledged it when I did an interview this morning, and you all worked really hard to get to the best possible outcome for everyone, and we value greatly the work that all of the community groups do, and I'm sure that each and every one of us wish that we could offer them as much as they had requested. It simply isn't possible. We have to toil with that ourselves every year when we accept our funding applications, and in divisional situations we always get applications for about $1 million, and we at one time had only 40,000, and I guess it's the same in the main this year. So congratulations to everyone and to all the groups who took the time to present to us yesterday. They put a lot of effort into making sure that there was a great understanding of what they were hoping to deliver that would enhance our Gold Coast community. So congratulations to everyone involved.
Thank you, Councillor Gates. And I put that motion to a vote. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. We now move on to our meeting, our general GAF 844 meeting, and start by confirming minutes. So minutes of the 843 meeting on the 14th of May. Is there a mover for the motion? Councillor O'Neill and seconder. Councillor Wilkinson, all in favour? Great, thank you very much. We'll look at the agenda items, and if we look, is there any items that anyone wishes to unstar? Councillor Young.
Thanks, Chair. Item 6.5 is a supplementary item and just deals with the appointment of Councillor Doran to the Animal Management Task Force, which I don't have any concern about, but I wondered if we might include in that recommendation a recognition that I'm Council's appointed representative on the Local Area Finance Committee for the Rural Fire Brigades. It's not recognised in the current document, and I believe it should be because that's an appointment that Council has resolved, and it would just complete the register, so to speak.
Okay, well, let's, we will.
So just unstarring it for that purpose, thanks.
Okay. And anything else anyone wishes to unstar? No. Okay. So 5.1, 6.2, 6.3 and 7.1.
Can I have a mover for those items, please? Councillor Martin, seconder Councillor Taylor, all in favour. Thank you. We'll now address 6.1 and 6.4 with a combined presentation for both of those items. So pass over to the Director.
Through the Chair. So today we're seeking adoption of the procurement policy. We've been undertaking a strategic review of all our policy documents as part of our transformation and agenda at the City. So as part
Excuse me one moment.
Sorry.
I've made an error and I just didn't make a note on whether there are any conflicts for this committee meeting. Are there any conflicts that anyone wishes to declare? No, great, thank you. My apologies.
No, that's okay. So today we are presenting, firstly, the procurement policy, but we have the CFO here to do a brief presentation on the policy and the contract manual. But as you all know, that when undertaken correctly, procurement can really reduce our costs and improve delivery times and outcomes. So I just want to hand over to the CFO.
When you're ready.
Thank you.
Apologies.
No.
We could probably just maybe start, Jackie, with this while they're waiting for find the presentation.
Okay. Through the Chair, good afternoon, councillors. Procurement transformation is underway and it is a very exciting time to be part of the City and to improve the way we procure our goods and services. You will see as we adopt the budget coming up on Friday, our budget is $2.5 billion. We procure goods and services of $1.8 billion, so there are significant savings that we can achieve if we get our policy and our contracts manual correct. And that's what today is about. It's about laying the foundation. So firstly, Council conducts all procurement and contracting activities in accordance with the local government regulation, and there are three main documents that Council is required to adopt. We've got the procurement policy, and there is a revised procurement policy that you'll see in your papers. The contracting manual, and again there's item 6.4 is the contracting manual. That is about how we procure. And then there's the contracting plan, which will be presented. We're not able to present the contracting plan until we've adopted our budget, so that will come to the next GAF, the City contracting plan. The City has adopted the strategic contracting principles, and as part of that, as part of the transformation, we are looking at our policies, our processes, our systems, our people, our teams, how we interact across the organisation and where the accountabilities lie for all our procurement activities. As I touched on, we've got $1.8 billion of goods and services that we procure every year, and there are significant savings that can be achieved if we apply a more strategic and risk-based approach. So as part of this review, I'll just touch on the fact that we've got the policy, the plan and the manual. The policy will contain the principles, and you'll see there how our policy is a principle-based document. It references the local government principles and the sound contracting principles that must be adhered to whenever we make a procurement decision. Then we've got the contracting plan, which is the rules. This is the document that will be presented to Council for adoption, post-budget adoption. And then we've got the contract manual. This is an operational document. I would like to thank my team for the extensive body of work that's happened, reviewing the contract manual and how we procure. There are significant efficiencies that we have recognised internally, and that will lead to improved procurement service across the organisation. Sorry, I keep pushing the wrong button. So some key highlights. Simplification. So I'd like to point everyone to section 6 of the contract manual, which is on page 90 of your agenda. You will see that we have reviewed the thresholds and the number of quotes that are required for each of the thresholds. We have also redefined and re-engineered our business processes and what is required and how and whether that procurement activity will be business-led or procurement-led. 95% of our transactions are under 250 grand, and that represents about 25% of our spend. So where we can get the most value in the pre-award contract management processes is by focusing on those higher dollar values and implementing a more strategic bundling procurement approach, which bundles our capital works together. And effectively, we should be able to get significant savings by grouping jobs together and applying a more strategic sourcing strategy. So you'll see on pages 90, 91, 92 and 93 is our new re-engineered business process, which is a lot more simple. There were multiple processes being run across the organisation, so to come to one agreed process has been a major achievement, and this is going to be laying the foundations for effective and streamlined procurement moving forward. I have also spoken about, in our one-on-ones through the budget roadshows, about reducing the time taken to procure, and that's going to significantly assist with the deliverability of the CapEx program. So there's benefits to council. We will save money by procuring more strategically. There will be benefits for the industry as well. They will want to partner with us. We want to make our processes simpler so that we can attract the right partners to come and do work on the Gold Coast. The supply chain isn't getting any easier. When you look at the outlook with the Olympics in southeast Queensland, there is very much an undersupply of suppliers, so we do need to re-engineer the way we attract the market and get the right suppliers and vendors to partner with the City of Gold Coast. And this procurement policy will absolutely support that. As I touched on, CapEx, we've been spending around $500 to $550 million per annum for the last 4 or 5 years. And you will see, I won't mention the figure because we haven't adopted the budget yet, but you will see an uplifted CapEx program for the coming budget that we're about to adopt on Friday. And in order to achieve the deliverability of that CapEx program, we do need to streamline our procurement processes and bundle and assist Michael's team with the deliverability of the CapEx program. Michael and I work closely together on our procurement strategies, and we will continue to do so. What this policy is about as well is empowering the business. The business will be able to lead their own procurement activities with the help of the Procurement Help Desk and Procurement Business Partnering Service. They will be able to lead their own procurement activities up to $1 million. As I said, 25% of our spend makes up 95% of our transactions up to 250, and we are still encouraging local spend on all of our transactions. With the lifting of the thresholds, we do need to look at enhancing our governance, our control points, our internal controls, and our reporting on our procurement analytics. And I've covered that in item 7, section 7 of the contract manual, page 94. There are a number of reports, control points, and internal audits that will be done to ensure that everything is above board. I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Gates.
Thanks very much. Through you, Chair. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we used to get a copy of the old policy so that we could see what had come out. Yeah. I tried to have a look and I couldn't find anything in the new policy where we used to give weight to the Gold Coast Business Excellence Award winners. In the procurement process, we used to give a weighting to award winners that encouraged their participation in our Business Excellence Awards, or they're not ours, but we support them. And it's something that, in my recollection, at one time increased our local spend from 50% to almost 80%. I think it's at 70% at the moment. So has that been left out?
No, it hasn't. So through the chair, the local benefits and the performance and the local criteria is baked into our evaluation process. It is now part of the contract manual, which is on page 96, section 8, where it references local benefits and performance. You're correct, Councillor Yates, our local spend is 71%.
Thank you. So it highlights on page 96 the actual Gold Coast Business Excellence Award winners getting an extra point?
No, it references the preference towards local suppliers.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is why has that been taken out of our policy? Because it was part of the policy that if you were the winner of a Business Excellence Award, you got an extra point in the calculation of any tender process that was undertaken. And it was to encourage business to actually participate and compete in those awards and to favour our local successful businesses in the distribution of work.
Through the chair, Councillor Gates, we can have that as an amendment. That is an oversight, I'm sorry.
Okay, I
we'll
would
make
be
sure
grateful.
that's an amendment. Sorry, we have...
I think it's been very positive, the feedback that we had from that being included. So,
if we've got specific advice available. Yeah, if you could come to the mic, thanks.
thank you.
Sorry, just through the chair, it's my understanding that was part of our evaluation process and part of the policy several years ago. It was removed, I think, during the COVID period, where we actually took a focus on all local suppliers and our commitment to making sure they were considered in the first instance. So I think that actual reference to the award winners was taken out several years ago as a priority, focusing on all businesses.
Well, it was never advised openly that that was the case in my recollection. And at the Gold Coast Business Excellence Awards, they're still talking about that benefit being current. So I don't know what the rest, I'm not on this committee, but I don't know what everyone else feels, but I thought it was a good way of encouraging our local businesses' participation both in the awards and in our community and getting jobs from council.
It certainly formed part of our evaluation process and certainly was given additional points, as you say, as part of that process, but we can certainly take that away and have a look at the current process to see if it's still there or highlighted as such.
Well, I think it needs to be in the policy personally.
Through the chair, I would suggest that we could add it as an addition if there's support in the manual.
In the manual?
So what I'm hearing is there's not any particular concern against it by officers. So can I get a sense from our committee members? I'm aligned with Councillor Gates's. Yep. Bella?
No, definitely aligned. I think we need to increase local benefit wherever we can, and if that's another incentive to link back to an awards program that we endorse, I think that it's worth doing.
We'll make a note of that in the recommendation. Thank you. Questions? Councillor Martin.
I just wanted to ask about the local Gold Coast, whether that is publicly available, around how do we actually encourage Gold Coast businesses from successfully getting the tender? I acknowledge the award winners, but in general, how do we, get that outcome?
Through the chair, as part of the procurement transformation, we do want to enhance the way we engage the local community to give them and make them more visible all of the upcoming pipeline of works and tenders that they will have the opportunity to tender on. In addition to that, you will see that up to 250k does have that local. All of our procurement has that local preference policy.
Councillor Fowler.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Jackie. This is really exciting. I can totally see the benefit. I guess I just had a couple of suggestions.
Yeah.
So with considerations for the procurement policy, did we want to have consideration to compliance and training and perhaps add that as a point, being that all staff who are involved in procurement activities, basically shall be trained on the policy and all relevant procedures, and that compliance as well. I thought maybe compliance with this policy shall be monitored and breaches addressed promptly. Like we could have a little short section in there on compliance and training to make sure that that expectation is met as part of that policy. And then when we're talking about supply chains getting harder and we're going to be walking a really tough journey, and I understand why this piece of work is happening, perhaps we could give thought to the tender process and how we actually deal with those who are not successful. So having been on the other side of the fence, it really can sway people from applying with us again if we don't handle that process with care. So I thought, and I'm not really sure if this is in the contracting plan or whether we actually add this to the policy itself, but clearly outlining communication procedures for unsuccessful bidders, ensuring transparency and fairness, and also providing feedback to unsuccessful bidders upon request, outlining their reasons for their bid's rejection. Or alternatively, it might be that it's actually document and adhere to procedures outlined in the contracting plan or manual, and it's placed in there. So I'm not sure where it best fits, but perhaps that could be a consideration.
Through the Chair, I agree with all of those points. I'm happy to add them into the policy, probably at a high level, and then put the detail into the contracting manual.
And just
okay. So what I think we'll do with those, we might just take a quick cup of tea break. And
I've just got one more point, Chair.
We're not going to do it right now because we're going to continue and finish on this. But you can just make sure that your recommendation is draft and presented. Okay.
And then just when we're talking about, I just had a question about in the contracts manual and local buyer vendor panel, and I guess we're pre-qualifying suppliers, and it's really important to do that. In this, are we actually suggesting that we're going to go to market without pre-qualified suppliers through local buyer and vendor panel and those thresholds? Is that what we're actually talking about here, that we're not going to use pre-qualified suppliers for certain thresholds up to 1 million, or we're still using pre-qualified suppliers? Okay, great. Thank you.
Councillor Hamill.
Thank you, Chair. Jackie, obviously a fairly significant change in policy in the middle of a much broader change happening across the organisation, which brings risk, which is fine. I know that a risk review has been done of the new policy. Would you just mind talking to me around what was looked at there, a little bit more information possibly on some of the checks that are in place that you're introducing, and also where a possible internal audit review might sit over the top of this policy in the not too distant future?
Through the Chair, on page 94 of the contract manual, you'll see all of the additional control points, reporting and governance and internal controls that we will be enhancing across the city. So I'd like to just mention that this manual was a great team effort. We did have the Chief Risk Officer, who's sitting in the back there, review the manual, as well as the legal team and all of the procurement staff. So everyone has had input into the enhanced internal controls. So essentially what we are introducing with the whole points is if it's a business-led procurement, the purchase order still comes back through procurement. They will check that the correct number of quotes have been sourced. They will also check whether the procurement activity is value for money, and that whether they've used pre-qualified suppliers or used an existing arrangement or any other standing offer arrangements, and then the purchase order will be created. As part of the sourcing strategies and whatnot, we will also be looking at how we test the market and what sort of arrangements are sought. So we've got the thresholds and the policies that we need to adhere to, and ensuring that we're achieving the sound contracting principles and value for money for our ratepayers. So we will also be engaging with internal audit, who will do some sample testing over all of the procurement activities that are happening across particularly the business-led stuff. But there will be, as this starts to get rolled out, there will be a procurement help desk. Procurement will oversee and provide governance, and they will guide, support and advise the business and help them through their procurement activities.
Councillor Hamill.
Through you, Chair, Jackie, thank you for that. Not just to get more information back on that in the future, but just the success, what I hope to be great success of this policy change. But how far into the future do you think we would see the first ever review come back of the policy? You know, there will be some little changes made, I'm sure, especially once we actually start to engage with industry and get some feedback from them. So how far into the future before you would bring back a review of this policy to see where we're at?
Through the Chair, I would imagine that would be in about 12 months' time, and I'm happy to provide updates on the contract manual and in particular the procurement activities, particularly with the bundling and the work that we're doing with Michael Kaler's department in relation to the Capital Works program and the uplifted CapEx program that we're going to be seeing for next financial year. So I'm happy to bring a report back at future GAF, but the policy needs to be reviewed annually.
Just through the Chair, just to add to that, obviously we'll be reviewing it constantly as we're using the new contracting manual. If there's anything that we have concerns about, then we would come back immediately to Council.
Chair, final question. So, you know, 1.8 billion. Does the CFO have an idea, or would she like to hesitate a guess on what possible savings could come from this policy? And I promise not to hold it against her, but yeah, it is a significant opportunity to save money, and I'm sure that'll come back in the review. But does she want to have a stab in the dark of what kind of savings could be here?
Through the Chair. Well, 10% of 1.8 billion is 180 million. So I anticipate that we will achieve in excess of 100 million
and so
in savings, and that's across CapEx and OpEx.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to add to that through the Chair, there's other savings to be made in terms of officers' time in the city, the time that businesses take to actually engage with the city. I'm told that they add an overhead of up to 20%, so that saving also from suppliers is going to be quite significant.
So, Chair, I think that little extra bit of context from Susan's actually excellent, and I'd really love to see in that review that we follow a few of these things through from start to finish and demonstrate that, like, I didn't think you were going to put a figure on it. I didn't think I'd push you there with it, but I'm glad I did, because it has got that kind of opportunity, and I think that could be on the conservative end, and Jackie does tend to be conservative, which is fine, but there is a chance to save big money here and a chance to save a lot of time, not just for ourselves, but our suppliers. So very exciting.
And through the Chair, if I could just add, what does success look like from a procurement perspective, and from Michael's perspective, it would be full delivery of every single project in his Capital Works program, but coming in significantly under budget.
Excellent. We love it. Thank you very much. So we do, this has kind of fallen over 2 items. Are there any more questions, first of all? We may just take a very quick break. I think it's valuable for Councillor Fowler to present her draft additions to the recommendation. So let's just take 10 minutes, please. Pardon? Welcome back. Thank you. Okay, so we have the recommendation in front of us with some excellent additions from Councillor Fowler. Thank you. Great. With the... No, that's fine. Thank you. Councillor Fowler, would you like to move this item? Seconder? Councillor Wilkinson, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I'd love to speak to it. So yeah, I just think with our new procurement policy, it's a really exciting time for the city, and hopefully we'll get to that objective of reducing timeframes for that threshold under $1 million to 12 weeks, which I think will be incredible and will allow us to deliver our capital works budget on time, on budget. But in relation to the procurement policy, I think it's really important that we do have some compliance and training in there, even though it is in cities' employment contracts. It's nice to pull it out in this piece of work. And secondly to that, I think it's really important that we show unsuccessful bidders our commitment to them, giving them the feedback so that they are more successful next time.
Great, thank you. Councillor Gates, you got a comment?
I only wanted to be sure that the business award bonus point will go back in, and I'm not...
We didn't get that in here.
It is through the chair in 6.4, so it's in the next...
Oh, it's in the next one. It's in, so the presentation covered 6.1 and 6.4. So we're now just signing off on 6.1.
Thank you.
It'll be in there. Very good. Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? So I put that to a vote. All in favour? Unanimous. Great. Thank you. We'll now move to 6.4, which has the addition recognising the Local Business Excellent Awards recognition. Who would like to move this recommendation? Councillor Wilkinson. Seconder, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Wilkinson, would you like to speak to it?
Sure, thank you, Chair. Look, I completely agree with adding this into the recommendation today. I think it's important that we do, bring that value back to making sure that our manual actually reflects supporting those who have gone through, our local business excellence awards, and recognises them for not only that award, but also gives them that extra credential, I guess, when they come to the city looking for contracts in the future. So I completely agree with this recommendation, and yeah, I appreciate Councillor Gates's comments to make sure that it was reflected.
Great. Councillor Hamill.
Chair, I wanted to make the point on this particular one that this is a really important piece of work for our officers. That when we embarked on this journey of a major restructure, and there was always talk about changing operating models, there's going to be a lot of policy review work, and we will deliver you the tools you need to get on with your job, which for most of our officers is about getting on with improving the community that they live in, and for our ratepayers live in too. So that this is one of several pieces of work that delivers on that, of giving officers the tools they need, the policy, and then the manual behind it to get on with the job that they're employed to do and get it done in the most effective and efficient manner possible. So excellent to see, and look forward to lots more changes like this to get us to the high performing organisation that we have to get to.
Great, thank you. To add on to that, I do want to acknowledge our Chief Financial Officer and her team for doing the particular work that's required to get this through, and for our CFO, who, because she didn't have enough on her plate, we threw her procurements as well. I'm a little bit hesitant to say this publicly because we don't want to lose her. but I do want to say it. Jackie, you are extraordinary. This organisation is so fortunate to have you, and the transformation that you are making with pretty much everything that you touch is well recognised by this council, so thank you for your work. Okay, so we'll all... move to the vote now. So all in favour? Great, thank you very much. We're now going to 6.5, just for a very small change to the recommendation. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Fowler, and second. Councillor Taylor, we happy to put that to the vote? All in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you for your work, Councillor Young. Next item is the Tugun Depot and Old Landfill site. This is a closed item, and because it's of a commercial consideration, so we should move into close. There's an interest to get presentations? Absolutely. Okay, so move Councillor Wilkinson, seconded Councillor Martin. All in favour to go into closed? We've considered 7.2 and I move the recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. Anyone wish to speak to it? No. All in favour? Okay, thank you. Carried. We now have 7.3, which is also a closed item matter, and I propose that we do go into closed for a presentation for this one. Moved, Patterson, seconded, Councillor Martin. All in favour? Thank you. Well, thank you very much to Louise Cook for bringing back some matters that were of questions to this committee. Ms Cook, if you could just perhaps give a summary before we go to our recommendation on, you know, what the work's been.
Absolutely. So in terms of the city holding a captive insurance company, so a captive insurance model is a wholly owned subsidiary of the city. So yes, it is located overseas, but it's a really sophisticated risk management tool, and with a hard insurance market, we actually have seen by undertaking a strategic review at the end of last year that it's a best model for the city, but also in terms of comparison to traditional market and other mutual arrangements for us as a city, it's a really good option and a strategic management tool that we can use moving forward. So as I outlined previously, we've undertaken the strategic review. What we're now going to do with the findings of that, now we know the model is still fit for purpose for the city, I think we're in a really good position in terms of managing the risk. It's what we do moving forward. And for us, it's to really have a good look at our stats and our claims, work with the company to really ensure that we're providing the benefit to the city, but also to the community as well.
Thank you very much, and I move this recommendation. If I got a seconder, Councillor Martin. I think what we're doing in the space of insurance and how this council manages insurance is another testament to we benchmark ourselves against some of the best organisations in this country, not just councils. In fact, a number of other councillors are looking to our model now, because once you get to a certain size, it doesn't make sense that we're going out to the insurance groups to do it like a broker, but we use our scale to our benefit. So I really thank you for the presentation. I'm really looking forward to making this a more transparent and public journey, which I know that is now in case, so that we can continue to do that. Anyone else like to speak for or against this? No? Okay, all in favour? Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any general business? No. Okay, well, with that, I declare this meeting closed at 3:33.